First of all, once again, thanks to the media for coming. We really appreciate this. This is, for me, as always, I say this every week. I've said it for the last 5+ years. This is one of my favorite things to do every week, and that's because we get to highlight the great work that's being done by our public safety professionals in the city of Albuquerque, but also our civilian employees, if you will. And they're doing great things every day. Every day, almost 6,000 employees go out. They get up, they get on the job, they work hard for you and for me, and but sometimes they do things that are extraordinary, and that's what we're here to highlight, and today's is no exception. So let's get started with our Employee of the Week, and then we'll have a Friday's Hero presentation as well. So this week, Dottie Soiree is our Employee of the Week. Now, how many is it? I've got the phonetic here. Is it?
It's Soiree.
Soiree. Gotcha. She's our Employee of the Week, and Dottie is a aquatic program coordinator. So we had a great story this week about some lifeguards at Eisenhower Pool. We'll be telling that story next week, I think, or the week after. But this is another story about someone from the aquatic program, and she is a lifeguard at Sandia Pool with the Parks and Recreation Department. And her life-saving skills came in really handy, but it wasn't at the pool. She was at the grocery store and just doing some shopping. But the training that she received at the city and her awareness really saved a life. And with us today is Mark Kutzler. And Mark is on this side. Mark is right here. And this is the gentleman whose life was saved. And we're always appreciative. I told Mark.
Thank you, Dottie.
We always, it's always special when someone is willing to take the time out of their day to come in and meet with us. So Mark is here is with us. So this past April, Dottie was shopping at her local grocery store, and she witnessed a man suddenly collapse onto the floor. She rushed over to check on the man, and it was Mark, and found that he was without a pulse. Immediately, her lifeguarding skills took over, and she began chest compressions to restore Mark's heartbeat. As the situation intensified, she continued administering compressions, and she shouted for someone to call 911. And if you've been to Project Heart Start or any one of these programs through the Red Cross or through some other training, you'll find out that that's exactly what you're supposed to do. So knowing the severity of Mark's situation, she asked onlookers to find her an automated external defibrillator. We call those AEDs. And once she was given the AED, Dottie scanned for a heartbeat but could find none. She then delivered an electric shock and continued chest compressions in order to keep Mark alive. And I'm going to talk about AEDs a little bit more in just a minute. And you don't have to be a trained professional, by the way, to use the AEDs. You can do it with some very basic training. So medical personnel arrived on the scene, and Dottie was relieved of her heroic responsibilities at that time. So paramedics were able to safely transport Mark to a nearby hospital where he was properly resuscitated. Dottie was relieved to hear that Mark had been safely transported to the hospital and recovering, and at that point could breathe on his own. So without Dottie's heroic actions, and without the fact that the store had an AED on site, Mark may not be with us today. He may not have survived his heart attack. So this is just a great example of how lifeguarding skills are able to save lives, whether you're at the pool or whether you're on the clock or whether you're at a grocery store and off the clock. And this is just a great message for our community. Dottie's a trained professional, but you can learn CPR. These compression-only CPR is very simple to learn. I've been to the class myself. It takes less than an hour. They'll teach you how to do the compression-only CPR. You can do it through Project Heart Start. Dr. Ramo has that program. It's a great program, but the American Red Cross has that program, and I think the Albuquerque Fire Department also does some of that training in the community. But you can also learn how to use one of these AEDs. The other thing I can tell you, and I forgot my phone this morning, I usually carry it on me, you can download Pulse Point, which is the new app that we have at the city of Albuquerque. Do you happen to have it up?
I don't.
Okay, so Pulse Point is a free app, and if you just go into your app store and request Pulse Point City of Albuquerque, or just search it anyway, you can download it. And what that allows you to do is make yourself available. If there's a cardiac incident near you, you will receive a notification on your cell phone, and then you have the option to go and help the individual while the professionals are getting there. And we know that seconds save lives, and that's really, really important. And it's also important that you know that AEDs are there and that you can be trained on how to use those. We have so far 2,000 people who've registered with our Pulse Point app in the city of Albuquerque. That's up from 500 when we first started. So this is great, and it's gonna save lives. But we also have over 450 of these AEDs throughout Albuquerque in our city facilities, our schools, and our businesses. But we want more. And one of the things that we want people to understand is we have Good Samaritan laws in the state of New Mexico. And this year, Senator Sue Wilson Befford actually ran another bill, Senate Bill 189. And what that does is it helps limit liability for businesses who want to have an AED. So if you're a private sector business and you've thought about putting an AED in your place of business, but you had concerns about liability, we now have much better coverage for Good Samaritan laws, just like we do if you're a citizen and you find someone. If you're trying to help, those Good Samaritan laws are there to protect you. So we shouldn't have that as a barrier to helping others. But getting back to Dottie and to Mark and the great work that Dottie did, I want to bring up Barbara Taylor to say a few things about Dottie and the great work that she does. And of course, like all these employees that end up at Employee of the Week, I would imagine that this wasn't the first great thing that Dottie's done at work or as a citizen. And I'm happy to see, who'd you bring with you today? We always ask it.
My daughters and my husband, Sam.
Well, congratulations to you as well. So I want to have Barbara Taylor say a few words, and then we've got an award for you here. Barbara?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a few words. I want to say Dottie Soiree went to the grocery store and saved a life. And it never occurred to her to do otherwise. It is the training that they learned. Dottie is a certified lifeguard trainer and a family of trainers, so you're all in very good hands today. She's the best of us, and we are so very proud of her. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
So Dottie, we have our Employee of the Week mug that we always give out, and we also have a certificate for Employee of the Week and a letter for your personnel file. But really what we have is a big thank you, and we're just grateful. And that you're keeping our families safe, and training others to keep our families safe at the pools. But also just way to go on the citizenry category, just way to be there for Mark and one of your neighbors and your fellow citizens when he needed help. So we're very proud and we're thankful for all you've done.
Thank you.
You've done. Thank you so much. Today I want to welcome Officer Martin Smith and Chief Eden to talk about our Friday's hero, which is Officer Martin Smith, whose quick and calm actions saved the life of something very precious to an Albuquerque mom. It was the life of her child. And when Officer Smith responded to a family's frantic call for help, he became the family's hero, and that's why he is this week's Friday's hero. On May 14th, Officer Smith was called out to a Northeast Heights neighborhood in reference to an infant who had stopped breathing and was quickly turning blue. The Rios family opened the door to Officer Smith and unsure of how they could help their child. They were just really at a loss. Officer Smith remained calm and in control, and he did what he was trained to do. And we talk about our police officers and our firefighters a lot, and sometimes we think about our police officers as being the law enforcement folks and our firefighters being the folks that do the medical work. But lots of times we have police officers who put their training to work, and this was no exception. So Officer Smith remained calm and controlled. He grabbed the baby and started doing the CPR work that he was trained to do, breathing into her face, rubbing the chest, trying to get her breath regained. Suddenly she started moving her hands and her feet, but she was still struggling to stay conscious. So Officer Smith continued to tap the baby's chest. He talked to her to keep her awake and engaged. And then the Albuquerque Fire and Rescue soon arrived on scene and transported the infant to the hospital, where she was diagnosed with a seizure disorder, which caused her to stop breathing. The child is now, I understand, receiving proper medical care for that condition, and that these episodes, hopefully in the future, will be certainly less frequent and hopefully non-existent. As Officer Smith says, his actions on that day were part of his duties, and he doesn't feel like a hero. We hear that every single time. Every time we have somebody come up here that's done something extraordinary, if you talk to them offline, they'll tell you the same thing. Somebody else would have done it for me. This is what I wanted to do for somebody else. And I think that's one of the things that really is indicative of a hero. But to that baby girl's mom, she'll never forget that day. She'll never forget Officer Smith. And I know you're in a lot of folks' prayers each and every day for the great work that you did. So congratulations. And I want to have Chief Eden say a few words, and then we have our coin that I'd like to present to you. Chief?
Thank you, sir. Well, every day the men and women of the Albuquerque Police Department do heroic things. And in this time, Officer Martin Smith did something that sometimes we hope we never have to do. But yet, when we do it, we see the results. And today we've seen two examples of two different people using critical life-saving skills that they've learned to help save another person's life. And it's especially important to each and every one of us to have these well-trained police officers, our well-trained firefighters, and our well-trained lifeguards, willing to go above and beyond the call of duty. Some lifeguards wear red swimming suits and they're heroes, and some police officers wear blue suits and they're heroes. And what a great job you did that day. It was captured on his lapel camera video, and as of this morning, he had over 842,000 YouTube hits.
Wow.
So,
Social media hero.
yeah. So on behalf of all of us at the Albuquerque Police Department, but more important, a family that has a baby that they're going to see grow up and be productive, thank you for what you do every day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Officer. Thank you, sir. So we have our Friday's Heroes coin that we have commissioned specifically for this purpose that I'd like to present to you. And once again, this is what we're here to do. We live in a great community, we live in a great nation, and the reason we live in a great community is because we have great folks, and we have great neighborhoods, and we have people that take care of each other. And day in and day out, we just need to remember that there's always something we can do to make someone's life better. And you never know, one of those days you may have a chance to actually save a life. And when you have that opportunity and it's part of what you do for a living, I know, officer, that has to be a very gratifying thing when you get up each day, when your head hits the pillow tired at night. So
Yes, sir.
we're appreciative and we're thankful for your work and keeping us safe. So
Thank you,
thanks
sir.
and God bless.
Thank you.